Welcome viewers, wherever you are in the world. Sydney Harbour, Friday the 13th of March 2020, invitation race, JJ Giltinan Championship. Known in Europe as a practice race. With me today on the camera cat, James Bury, Mark Healy, John O'Witty, Michael Chittenden and Piers Hasgard. Jimmy, the track today, the committee got the #1 flag up. What does that mean?
Means our favourite course, Bucko, the mighty Northeast course. So today's race we to Windward all the way up to Beachville Buoy, which is basically off Watson's Bay. Go around the mark there, set the spinnakers, come running down. Got to go around Shark Island in Rose Bay and then back down to the bottom mark for the first time. Second time up, they just go straight up to the top mark, working their way to Windward, go around the top mark, straight to the bottom. Don't have to go around the island. Third time up, same again up to the Beachville Buoy there in Watson's Bay. Run down around the island again, which should be a lot more interesting the third time down, and then the finish will be just outside of Double Bay here at Shark Island. Clark Island. I'll get the islands the right way around. I got thrown earlier.
That's great, isn't it? Shark Island near Shark Point, Jimmy, that's how you remember it.
Yeah, move them around a bit for me, would you? I think we were talking about something earlier about it, Bucko, and that's what threw me. Anyways, it's an invitation race, practice day for us and them. There you go. We haven't done the Northeast for so long. Marky, what do you think?
Well, we haven't done the Northeasterly race for a while. I was talking to Sean Langman, had a great day last weekend. Anyone who's watching it last Sunday, he came second, I think it was, very competitive the whole time. And Sean was reminding me, because I'd forgotten, that we haven't sailed in a foam up of any sort for a very long time, hardly seen the small rigs. And today, well, there's no foam up, as you can see, wherever you're watching this from, whether you're live or recorded, you can see it's a stunning day on Sydney Harbour. It's sort of mid-20s, flattish water, and that might change a little bit, and about 14 knots of breeze. It might build to 16, but it's absolutely picture perfect. But the headline news is it's going to be fresh to frightening tomorrow, the first day of actual point score racing, and it looks just as windy on the Sunday. Is racing going to go ahead? Pretty sure it is, but right on the edge. And so Sean Langman's view was, let's wait and see what happens Saturday, Sunday. And he was sort of suggesting, which is an interesting point, Bucko, tell me what you think about this, that the whole series could get decided this very first weekend.
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking at the risk elements, if I was advising anybody in a fleet, I'd just tell them to try to just keep the boat upright and just finish both races without tipping over, and you'll be in pretty good shape. And tomorrow looks that windy, and as you pointed out, Sunday perhaps a little less, but both will be pretty robust days. And interesting today, Mark, the fleet in its entirety with big rig, and we've got a sneaky suspicion it might get a bit frisky by the third time around. So I wouldn't surprise to see some men and women seeking refuge back on the nice lawn, i.e. doing 2 laps and going, that'll do.
Yeah, you get a bit of that in practice race. On pit screen, you can see Honda Marine. That's our reigning champion. 2 wins in a row in the JJ. And they were pretty competitive in the one before that they didn't win. They ran it close. So they're looking to win 3 in a row. And let's be honest, last time they were sailing here in Sydney Harbour, exactly a year ago, they were dominant. It wasn't just a win, was it, Bucko? It was a bit of a pasting of the rest of the fleet. No,
it was a mash-up. And be interesting to see. Today, the first 2 laps will be a fantastic test. Water, you know, it's tide starting to ebb. Water just starting to get bumpy. Up range a bit. Honda Marine not amongst the heavy guys. So if we can see them and the other 2 New Zealand boats, Sea-Tech and Maersk Line. Maersk Line, some young guys from Royal Acarana having a crack, and they look like pretty good yachtsmen from their, history. But it is their first time in Sydney Harbour. But don't forget, 2 JJs ago, the Maersk Line with Josh Preveski and his guys could have won the regatta if they had a decent big main. They won the first race in a day, a bit like today, without ever having sailed on Sydney Harbour.
Yeah, that was impressive, wasn't it? And Josh was equally impressive last year as well, when again he got a broken tiller. Otherwise he yet again could have run Honda Marine quite close. But today it's not a point scorer for the championship. The championship starts proper tomorrow. The race start each day is at 2:45, 2:45, just if you want to set your diaries for the next few days ahead. And we're racing on Saturday and Sunday And then we have a day off on Monday, and who knows, that's a lay day. It might get called into use if we do lose either Saturday or Sunday, but probably Monday off. And then we race Tuesday or Wednesday. They're both 2 race days, so 2 Windward Lords. And then, in theory, if that all works well, we race a long race on Thursday. Friday's another day off, and then we finish next weekend with a Saturday, Sunday to close out the series. So it sounds, when I say it like that, Jimmy, I'm almost exhausted by the amount of racing that's to come. It's like a long series in a way, but somehow JJs seem to go by in a flash.
They do. They Yeah, sorry, Mark, just getting some directions on things. Yeah, the JJs do go in a flash. Like, it's a week and a half, and it feels like 4 days, 5 days, it's done. It's amazing, the hype around it, the build up to it, and then we finally get to it. It's the grand final for the 18s, and it's going to be amazing to watch. And I'm really looking forward to it. I think we've got a few good battles on our hands, and our Honda going to be as dominant as they have been. This is where we're going to find out today in the invitation race.
We'll get a sneaky clue, won't we? We'll get an indicator whether the extreme pace and boat handling skills they had last year, whether the delta is still there between them and the rest of the top of the Aussie fleet. But there's a few developments in the Aussie fleet. One of those interesting developments is that Jack McCartney's come into the fleet with a brand new boat, and he's taken it pretty seriously, and he's peaking, isn't he, at about the right time. So, Jimmy, I don't think it'll be as straightforward as last year. You'd have to think the delta's closed. The question is it closed enough?
Exactly, like, has that delta closed enough is going to be the big thing to watch. And, there's guys in the Australian fleet that I thought would have lifted a bit more, and they haven't. And, have the Kiwis done enough? I'm sure they have. They always play ducks and drakes with us with information coming out of New Zealand.
For sure.
Mainly from our good mate over here on one of the ribs, Sue Ellen from Live Sail Die. She's pretty good at making up nice little videos to say that they're all falling apart, but previous years, but we're not falling for that anymore. So we'll wait and see it. Not long to go now. We'll get the invitation out of the way. Yeah, I think we're in for an exciting series, Mark.
I think you're right. We're just 6 minutes away from the start of the practice race today. Anyone's watching live, it's coming up to 20 to 3. I know a lot of people will be watching this as a recorded version just to get a sense of where the form's at. And Bucko, 21 boats on the start line today, a few non-starters and a few crew changes. Just talk us through the standout changes for today.
Well, first of all, the boat that's not here, Finport Finance, incomplete crew availability, and Keegan preferring not to sail at all rather than go out with a patched-up crew. Changes on Yandu. Nick Daly in the middle, Fang Warren in the bow, so pretty much a new lineup. Nick's been on the main sheet there previously. Winning group, Sevi Jarvan stepped in to steer. Scotty Babbage on the main sheet, Sam Newton in the bow. Very strong lineup, but not what we'd seen previously. The guys we haven't seen, Maersk Line from New Zealand, Perron Pearce, Eli Lifting and Harry Clark, all well-regarded young guys from Royal Akarana, and we look forward to their performance today. Who else have we got there, mate? Appliance Online with Phil Marshall on the main sheet, Kurt in the bow. I think that's about it, mate. But
Kurt, we won't see Kurt this week, Bucko. He's injured last week from the incident between Appliance Online and URM.
Oh, so they're not on the track today, of course.
No, they won't be. But I believe Monty's coming back for a fill-in
Really?
tomorrow.
Nice.
Oh, Monty's out limbering up, and then who else was going to jump in? There's someone going to jump in for the remainder of the week.
So Jimmy, we don't know Appliances Online today, but they are going to be in the series.
Yeah, absolutely.
Excellent. That's good
Brett
to
wouldn't
know.
miss it for the world. Yeah.
And Dalzotto also a non-show today, but again, they will be out for the series.
Yeah, they will be. Young Mark, where's he from? Spain. So jumping in the bow of the Dalzotto is the word on the street, and the other one is Brandon Buick is jumping on the bow of the URM for a couple of days.
Okay, so some more changes. That was a 4-minute gun you might have heard just 30 seconds or so ago. So 3 minutes coming up in a little while. Pretty much all the boats are now out from the park. I've got 2 late launches I can see over my shoulders who might struggle a little bit to get here. Can't quite see who they are right now.
Burn, Bear and Vintech. Well, looks of it from here.
You've got better eyes than me. Nice spot. There's a bit a long way away whoever that is. But the rest of the fleet are here. And the harbour, of course, it's a Friday, not a Saturday or a Sunday. Looking pretty empty today.
Mark is looking fantastic. Water is even looking pretty smooth. A lot of water to go out, though. 1.7 metre tide, I think, rise and fall. Tech 2 got a bit enthusiastic there. A long way upwind. They're about 2 minutes upwind with 3 minutes.
And not much.
3 minutes and change to go. They'll all get here. Breeze looking up the track looks like might be 14 now at the strongest bits. So that's nice uprange for the big rig, but the boys will be thinking, if we wanted to win the race, second sail might have been a better call.
Interesting, but right now you'd want to be big rig off the start line, wouldn't you?
Yeah, but the race isn't won in the first lap, Mark, is it? You know?
No, that's the wise head. Now I know how you won so many JJs. You got it, exactly. So like coming down the start line, Bucko just talking about Tech 2, who's been the top performing Aussie boat so far. They're going to want to do a good lineup against these Kiwi boats, see where they're at, and they are only going to get down to the start line just in the nick of time, if indeed they do, is coming up to the 2 minutes, in 2 minutes and 15 seconds till the start. Tech 2 are about 2 minutes away by the time they've dropped their kite, so they might just make it. URM, I think, capsized, still recovering from a capsize and a bit of a spinnaker problem. They've been down outside the pin for about the last 5 minutes. I'll keep an eye on them for you. And remember, the next gun is 1 minute, and that is coming up in no time at all.
Yeah. I mean, Mark, talking to the guys in the park, though, almost to a man, they said, look, it's a practice race. We just want to check in that our rig settings for this rig are good. They're all well aware that the next 2 days could be pretty fruity and
yeah. I think that's, and Tech 2, just sorry, that on camera now, they are very near us. I can tell you they're only about 30 seconds away from the start line, so they're going to make this, assuming their drop is clean, no problem at all. 1 minute gun is still about 20 seconds or so away, so they're going to be fine. Shaw and Partners also, they're upwind. They're the other boat that went a little bit too further upwind than you thought would be ideal. They're going to make it as well. So we're going to have a full set of runners and riders, which will be great, and even the late launchers for the boat park, apart from Ilve, who I think will struggle to get a 1 minute gun. Everyone else is going to make it.
Just 1 minute there, folks, so we'll see. Honda Marine lining up towards the leeward end. Tech 2 with all the lines still available, so not late, but certainly not positioned as such. But they'd just be wanting to line up somewhere near the Kiwis and have a look. The leeward end will again be favoured, guys, I would think here.
Yeah, looking on that drone shot, you can see down the leeward end a little bit of a rush kitchen maker, and also that Sean Langman on Noakes with the red hull making a bit of an effort to get down there, and James Doran deciding he'll just pop in at the pin if he can defend that position. He likes to look a bit right down there. And we've just still got about 20 seconds to go to the start of the practice race for the 2020 JJ. The pin end is all about Shaw and Partners. And we're literally to see where Honda Marine decide to start. They're down the left end of the line.
Shaw and Partners over early.
Well early, aren't they? Well and truly early. Fintech in decent shape. Tech 2 not quite in the front row. Honda Marine, as is their want, in lane 2.
I think it's a general.
A generous general. A tactical general, do you reckon, Bucko, or was he actually blindsided?
Nah, there was 3 boats about down there, and Winning Group pulled the pistol pretty early. It was on the high side of the pack. And, I mean, Sevy's one of those guys, he wouldn't care if there was 10 general recalls, you know, so.
So the fleet head off upwind, good chance to get a bit of a speed test and a height test and a settings test. So the crews are probably quite like this. A couple of practice starts would be right up the street, Bucko, wouldn't it? If you get that on a practice race, it's almost what the doctor ordered. 2 laps, get a bit of a check-in on the racing and go home for an early cup of tea.
Mark, I was going to mention, you know, if you race one of these boats 3 days in a row with two of the sort of days we're expecting for Saturday and Sunday uprange, you are definitely looking forward to a cup of tea and a good lie down after the race on the second. 3 days in a row, just about the kind of limit of what's physically viable.
That is right. You probably just heard the gun, so we're actually getting rid of that recall, and we'll be getting back into sequence. It won't be too long. Most of the fleet are on their way back. I think they've all heard the fact it's a recall. We had that little issue, didn't we, last weekend, where the fleet, it just looked like the fleet didn't realise there was a recall, and they would have struggled to got back had the race officer started the subsequent race on time, but he generously didn't, and all was okay with the fleet. But today it looks like they're all on their way back.
And the I flag flying.
Now, Mark, just looking up wind, enough wind now that the bear-away is now an issue.
Yeah, it's where. How much wind would you say there is now, Bucko? What's your reading?
I think it'll be still just 14, but these are pretty big sails I've got up, so we'll see.
14 in big rigs, flattish water so far. Not too many spectator boats digging up the big wash, which will be welcome from the crews as they get ready for the next start. That was the 5-minute gun you just heard a few seconds ago. I'll count you down to the 4-minute gun. Everyone heading back towards the start line. Still the same deal, Sydney Harbour, warm, sparkling conditions, terrific for a practice sail.
And we're around the ends now for this start, so if you're over in the last minute, you have to go round either end. That might just hold them back enough. Tide, though, ebbing, and the tide a building factor here.
So let's speculate about the strength of the new winning group lineup. Bucko, Sevi back on the helm. Scott Babbage in the middle. Sam Newton, I'm not sure whether this is just for today or longer term. We'll bring you up, we'll update you with that as and when we find out about that tomorrow or the next day. But that is the lineup for today. And they've all won a few races in their time, those three, haven't they? But they haven't actually sailed together that much recently.
No, but I think you'll find it just goes together like a hand in a glove, mate. They're both, I mean, the whole lineup's now pretty experienced. Sevi and Scott, between them, about 1 trillion races. And I think they'll be very good.
Definitely got fitness on their side with Sammy up there, up the bow, don't they?
Yeah, they've got, and you know, it might be that Scott, you know, brings a bit more calmness to the group. I don't quite know how the internal dynamics are, but that's his reputation, certainly.
Yeah, he's certainly got a low heart rate, that's for sure. So we'll see how that affects them. So that's that particular makeup. In terms of the other changes, the Andu change with John winning, of course, he's a former winner of this event back in the day, but not that long ago, pretty much in the modern era for sure. Sailing with Nick Daly, is that a long-term lineup as well, Bucko, or is this just a fix for today?
No, I think that's their lineup for the whole Giltinan.
Okay.
They wouldn't have mucked around with that. And you know,
Do you not think Berger would make a return, Bucko?
They're close. Well, I expect Berger will be back tomorrow. He's actually got a real full-time ordinary type job, you know. So a week off. He's a pretty skilled film and cameraman.
And you mentioned Appliances Online not sailing today, and one of the crewmen, Kurt Fatoris, is properly injured. And I think you might have seen that if you're watching Skiff Racing, or go back and look on YouTube. You can always look at all our archive of previous races back on our YouTube channel, and you'll have seen the smash. I think it was quite well covered by the cameras when URM went up the jacksea of Appliances Online. And what we didn't see at the time and didn't realise was that the pole got caught under the wing, jammed in with the netting, but it got Kurt's foot in between itself and something hard, and just for a while they couldn't release the boat and couldn't release Kurt. And I know that Brett was pretty anxious for a while. Luckily, a trip to hospital was required, but nothing super serious, but serious enough not to go sailing.
Yeah, I think that was a foot he'd already injured. He's at ankle, yeah.
Yeah, not ideal, but speedy recovery. Kurt, maybe you're watching today, listening to us. I'm sure you'll be watching the rest of the series. Let's hope you get fixed nice and soon.
40 seconds, and who's that outside the leeward end? That will be
Shaw and Partners, right down the left end, yet again, making an aggressive move to try and win that pin.
In the high risk mode. Seatech down there as well, winning group as well. So the leaders in the fleet more or less racking up, and Honda Marine in the middle of the line, and they might do their traditional second row start just to test themselves out. You never know.
Still got a minute to go here, Bucko.
Yeah, just over a minute to go.
They're early, that's for sure. A whole lot of them.
There we go. There is 1 minute. So Shaw and Partners are still trying to fight for that pin end along with Winning Group. And a lot of the fleet up in the middle. You'll be able to spot Honda Marine, which are up towards the windward end of the line. And at the full windward end, we've got Royal Oak, and the boat with ASCO on its sails. Jimmy, it's not actually ASCO at all, is it? Just tell us which boat that is.
QMC from Queensland.
QMC from Queensland.
Quality Marine Clothing.
Yeah.
Post payment up.
We're back into an AP. Just tell us, explain to us what's going on with QMC.
Queensland boat. They've got an old DeLonghi hull, ASCO sails. It's great. We've got 3 Queensland boats down here. We've got one that's been sailing with us for a couple of weeks, Queenslander. Who's the other one we've got? We've got Panasonic Lumix as well is the other one. So, which is great. I don't know much about the guys, but I'll get to know them over the week, and I'm sure we'll come with some beer drinking stories.
Yes, that's a good addition to the fleet, having the Queensland mini fleet, the sub-fleet of Sydney in some ways, coming here again 2 years in a row. That means things are growing in Queensland, which is got to be good for the health of the class.
So, troops, wow, we've got a black flag now. What's going on?
We're up to practice race of the black flag. Who'd have thought? I wonder if anyone will actually pay much notice to that on a practice race. Maybe they will. We'll have to wait and see. Well, we had a black flag, didn't we? Was it last week or the week before? Quite recently. We've had one quite recently. So our race officer's not shy to go the black flag.
But anybody got a view about why we got to AP there?
Negative Ghost Rider. I think the start committee's just going through all their flags, making sure they got them all, Bucko. Maybe that's what it is. They're practicing as well.
No, that's what the race committee always says. It's a practice race for us as well.
They just let out more chain here on the start boat, Bucko.
I think it's a sign of intent as well, isn't it? The sign of intent is, I'll use a black flag if I want to, so just get an indicator for the series coming up.
Yeah,
wow.
Well, that's the
there
thing,
was
isn't
the
it?
5-minute gun, just that noise you heard just before. So we're in sequence now. The rest of the fleet are again making their way back to the start line, which will be the 3rd attempt to get this race off. The practice race giving them the practice of starting, at least so far. They haven't practiced any tacks, haven't practiced speed or upwind really, but they won't mind that at all. 3 practice starts, no problem at all. Looking upwind, Bucko, any thoughts, comments about what you see happening?
No, it's a bit stationary. What I did look up before we got off the shore, though, you know, the nor'easter has got up the river, so the funnel should begin to operate. And historically, 3:30 is the time, you know, so but looking upwind, no great sign of that. But looking downwind, there is definitely thermals over the western suburbs, so it's warmer there, and you know the harbour water's perhaps 23, but we're seeing convection to the west, to the southwest, so that usually means building wind.
But 3 minutes and 30 seconds to go.
But
Small spectator of our own down here. Not very many. There's a few die-hard followers of the sport. But as you mentioned before, I think it was, Jimmy, was it you, about the Kiwis, the Sue Ellen and the Live Sail Die crew. They're out here with their usual squad. It's good to see them. I know they're going to be cheering on their Kiwis. It's an easy job for them last year, wasn't it? They won by so much, and the year before. But I'm not sure if it's going to be the same this year. I've just got a feeling. Early pick from you two guys. Who's going to win this year? Jimmy, you're first. Just give us one boat. I'm
going with the hat I'm wearing, Tech 2. I'm hopeful. I
Nice.
know it's game, but I'm hopeful.
Nice. That's a big act of faith. But, yeah, there's a lot of evidence to back that up, except we haven't seen the head-to-head. We will, of course, ask the question again after we've seen today. Once we've seen, we're bound to get a line-up between Tech 2 and Honda Marine. You just know it's going to happen. And I think, Bucko, we're going to watch that with some interest. But before we talk about that, who's your pick? Who's going to win this event?
Well, I've done, you know, the quick weather case, and it seems to me like it's going to be at least 60% and possibly 70% big rig. And if there's a condition in which Tech 2 can win, that is probably it, with no disrespect to anybody. But I think they're very competitive when it's light and tricky, and a bit less competitive when it's really fresh. So you wouldn't be afraid to put your money on Tech 2, but we'll know more after today, that's for sure.
And your answer is, Bucko?
Oh, Tech 2.
Come on, that was wide open. You left him there, Mark.
The two Aussie commentators have both picked an Aussie boat against the form the bigger picture form you'd have to say, but there you go, backing Tech 2. So
we still back the Wallabies, mate. Give us a break.
Because we have to, right?
We don't want to.
Now, how many flags have we got up, men?
2 minutes, 40 seconds is what it's looking like right now.
Where's the third flag hiding? Is it?
It's just in the top, underneath the club burgee.
It's not flapping.
It's not flapping right.
No, it's the little one, that's for sure.
Funny, isn't
So
it?
the fleet lining up again, thinking that the pin end's probably going to be right. So we've got a bit of movers and shakers are down there, and winning group again, having a good look at that one. Tech 2 are down at the pin end as well. Up at our end, you can see on camera, there's the committee boat. We're just the other side of the committee boat, give you a sense of where this boat is. We're looking right down the line, so we have a good idea about if there are any early starters. At this end, it's Sean Langman on Noakes. There's your 1 minute gun.
Well,
Look at their point and Smegger down here. Then hanging outside the ley line, there's a couple of boats as well. There's Ilve and QMC are outside the ley line for committee boat, so they want the committee boat.
the pin end is very substantially to be favoured here, and if you're actually trying to win the race, you'd be down there. If you want to go for a practice sail, start wherever you like.
That's for sure. You can see on camera now, you're looking down the line, you can get a pretty good idea of where we are. There's the pin just with the little rib alongside it. It's a little hard to pick up. It's got a checkered, black and white checkered cover on an orange buoy, and there's a rib exactly alongside it. That is the pin, just the top of your picture, top right.
So Smeg and Noakes and SeaTech, the only of the favourites up this end. The rest of them all down the other end, more or less.
Winning group about to put the bat on. Tech 2 got a nice little look at the pit end. Honda Marine finding a bit of a space just up to windward of that most leeward group. Just a few seconds ago, there is the start.
I'd say winning group's disqualified.
And one of the Queensland boats in the middle looked like they were pretty close to that line too. We're going to see what happens and also see what happens. Here, Buck, here's a question for you. It's a practice race, it's a black flag. What do you do if you're a winning group and you get told to get off the race course? Tricky one.
Jimmy, how do you see that?
I had a good view of the start boat, Bucko. I'm staying out of that one. But back to Mark's question, I think if even if you are called over, because it's an invitation race, just stick it out there, see how you're going for boat speed with everyone would be what I'd be wanting to do.
So I think you'd politely acknowledge the indicator that you were over and carry on sailing, is what you're saying.
Yeah, that's
Fair
what
enough.
I'd probably
It's a practice
do.
race. That's what you want to do, isn't it? You don't really want to get sent off the course. So Honda Marine doing a turn.
Doing a penalty turn. Beautifully done.
Just to the left of your picture, you just see the Honda Marine, I think, well, actually just to the left. You're about to see them in a second. They're coming out on port tack. There they are. And they're tacking again. They're making it hard for themselves here, aren't they? They obviously had some kind of an issue. They've done the turn, and then they've tacked back onto starboard to follow everyone in the dirty air. So I'm not quite sure what caused that, but they were sailing in very close proximity to SeaTech, Bird and Bear, and Noakes Blue. Something happened.
Something probably happened in the last 20 seconds in the rack up at the down where they were on the start line, I think.
In the pre-start, yep. But it does mean they're going to fall off the front leading group. You can see on your drone shot right now, in the advantage pin position is Tech 2. Pretty close behind and holding a really good lane is Shaw and Partners. URM are the most left-hand boat, but they're bow back on Tech 2. They don't have the advantage position, and they're about to sail into the void. And the other boats looking very competitive up here too. Winning Group, and Yandu, Vintech looking good. And up to windward of all of them, the Royal Oak Hotel with a sneaky little windward position on all of this group. And I'm not sure if anyone apart from Tech 2 could tack and cross them.
Well, Shaw and Partners is going to stop Tech 2 from tacking, but today, Mark, there is wind all the way into the rock, okay? So it's a little bit different. Breeze a little further right than a couple of weeks ago. They can sail until the bowsprit hits the land more or less here.
And what about URM? Sorry, do you reckon URM can do that for you, Bucko?
Except for URM, no. He's got a bail. He can go a fair way. If you look, you can see all the way to where that rib is. But you see the little end of the measured mile, the little pillar. Good pressure just there, so... But Shaw and Partners has got him at the moment, I think.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think by the time Tech 2 comes out, they'll have lost any rights to call water. It's just a straight port starboard. They're going to have to do a demanding boat handling manoeuvre unless Shaw and Partners bails out. Well, we're watching it on screen right now. There's Tech 2 putting a tack in, and there's Shaw and Partners. In the end, it's going to be actually a relatively comfortable duck for Tech 2. There they go. Fast. under control, nice tack, and they get out of that corner. The first boat out of the corner. They're going to have to cross Royal Oak, but it looks like they will cross them, but not by a lot. That's the next critical cross. Keep your eyes on it. Not a great tack by Shaw and partners. The next one's out of that corner. Tech 2 are across Royal Oak, so that puts them out into the lead at this very early stage.
Now, so Honda Marine's given themselves a good 2-minute handicap here. They, did a penalty turn for reasons unknown to us there at the back of the bus, so this will be good. Tech 2 leading, Honda Marine. Jimmy, what do you reckon? That is every bit of 2 minutes, isn't it?
I think it is every bit of 2 minutes, but they've probably got a gauge on it as well, Bucko, and they'll be playing with that with a bit of dirty air to see where they sit without showing their hand too early, one-on-one with them.
As we've discussed, last year they could start in row B and chew their way up to about third in the beat. So at row B's about a 1 minute deficit, so let's see what happens.
Well, they're coming into Bradley, as you can see them at the top of the picture. That's Honda Marine still on starboard, just behind the camera cat. You can see us as well. So that is Honda Marine. You can see with the big orange stripes. They're about to tack off Bradley's, and they are, probably last but one at this point in time. Not a huge distance back on the middle of the fleet, but quite a long way back on the leaders. There's the tack from Honda Marine. Again, not their best tack, that's for sure. That they probably went in, clicked too far. So maybe a bit of rust from Honda Marine, maybe the rusty start, did a penalty turn to practice the boat handling, but now they've probably fallen further back than they really wanted to. Remember, that is our current champion 2 times in a row. That's why we are concentrating on them. We haven't seen them for a year, and we want to see where they are at. But there's just a possibility they might be so far back they never get to test themselves out against the top boats. And if that happened, Jimmy, that would not be a great result for Honda Marine, would it?
It wouldn't be, but they might not have been sailing a lot in New Zealand this year to make their video to try and fool the Aussies, so they might be trying to make it now for us, Mark. So
the ultimate sandbag. That would be a sign of a very confident crew.
Note for Sean, that pylon is now part of the part of the course, isn't it?
It's a mark of the course.
So after we've seen a very brave James Doran and crew go through there last year, it was discussed and changed to make it part of the course. So just if you're watching it back, Sean, keep that in your mind.
It's caught on camera. If it did...
Sorry, brother.
Yeah, so that's the left-hand group we're just looking at there, which is Maersk and Yandu and Sean Langman. They're hovering in about the sort of 5, 6, 7 positions. Back at the front of the fleet, the leader is still Tech 2. You can see at the middle of your screen, Shaw and Partners, Royal Oak and Winning Group is the top 4, and just off on the right-hand side of the track, Smeg and URM are a little bit further back, but probably in that 4, 5, 6 area.
And that's the Queenslanders on screen, Mark, that have been out here, or been down here for the past couple of weeks, so they're slowly on the improve, which is great.
Looks all right too. A little bit deep overall, but not too bad.
So out to the left, our leading group, Winning Group, Royal Oak, Shaw and Partners, Tech 2, in the opposite order that I just read it out to you there. Out on the right-hand side, it's Smeg and URM, and Honda Marine are very hard right and a solid minute and a half back, or maybe more right now. We'll see what happens. The top mark, you'll get more of a sense of where everybody is, but at this point in time, the back markers are looking like Panasonic Lumix, QMC, Elvey, and bizarrely, but for reasons we've discussed, Honda Marine.
And Breeze just building a little here now. Some of the guys fully inverted. You see Bird and Bear just on screen there, just going to add a bit of jib twist. Good little puff down the middle of the track here.
And you mentioned, Bucko, they're all on big rigs here, aren't they? So they're all going to have the same problem, which is just trying to get the power out of the rig and keep it all under control.
Yep, that's exactly right.
So Yvette Heritage on Noakes Blue, keeping right in amongst the mid-fleet, probably a little bit better than mid-fleet. We've seen it a few times from her, Jimmy. I know we've talked about this before. Yvette, no problems with pace. She's pretty competitive, nearly always the first beat. Starts well, first beat, and then she starts to fall off the pace a little bit. What are your thoughts? What's your analysis about what's going on there?
Just time on the water, Mark, and getting used to these boats. She had a great history in 16-foot skiffs. She's a very accomplished sailor. It's just getting to know these beasts, which is a complete different boat to what she's previously sailed. And one more year, and I think she will be hanging in there and starting to make a name for herself.
So she crossed Yandu, crosses Meurth. This is the vet we're talking about, Noakes Blue. She's crossed the Queenslander boat. So she's probably in about 6th or 7th, pretty close behind URM and Smeg, just off to the right of our picture right now. And we're on the left-hand side of Sydney Harbour, the left-hand side of the Speak. That's where all the leaders are. They're all converging on this side. And Buck, are they here for tide or here for wind or here for a bit of both?
Yeah, there's plenty of left hand in the breeze on this edge. Current's pretty good up at George's Head here, so once you get up to this part of the track, no great favouritism from the current, and the current's going upwind, remember, so the best current is probably in this western channel at the top of the track here.
So here's URM, who are getting close to attack. There's just watching Smeg complete their tack. They're the most hard left boat, tacking just off the rocks. Bit of a port starboard with the URM, so a small duck from Smeg, and they'll come out of the corner. Again, both these boats are comfortably in the top 10, probably in about 4th, 5th, 6th. URM and Smeg, the boats we'd expect to be competitive. URM being pretty competitive the last couple of weekends.
Not a great tack.
Not the tack you're looking for there, Bucko.
No, I thought commentator's curse sprang to mind, Mark, actually.
Yeah, we did say they were sailing well, but they did have that smash with appliances online, which did look like it was their responsibility, but they're going to have to shake that off and be competitive again.
Oh, they're having a go. Here we go. Tech 2. Shaw and Partners leads, therefore. How about that? No. Tech 2 leads.
Not quite, yeah.
Covering Shaw and Partners back to the left side.
And they're about to cross, you can see, on in the middle of our pictures, winning group. Up to the top are the two boats, our two leaders, Tech 2, Shaw and Partners. That gives you an idea about the kind of lead they've got. Winning group, of course, had to tack back for Royal Oak there. And yet again, Royal Oak, we talk about them a fair bit. They, again, always in the mix, particularly early doors. It's just a question whether they could hold it together for the whole of the race. But Royal Oak, again, super competitive, as good as the best, that's for sure, in these conditions.
Well, Aaron's a pilot, isn't he? So he's had plenty of time this week to train, because they haven't been able to fly anywhere.
That's right.
So.
But, I mean, Mark, I think when it's up range, they're very good. When it gets down range and tricky, they're not quite so good, you know. And today, the nice nor'easter suits them perfectly, you know.
So there you see on screen a fancy pants split screen from our director, Chits, Michael Chittenden, and it's just giving you a perspective of those top two boats at the bottom of the screen and seeing where it all sits in the top of the screen. We'll try and do a lot of that during this week because there's a lot of angles to cover. We've got a few cameras, and we'll try and give you the multiple shots when it makes sense. So our top two boats, Tech 2, who's generally been the best Aussie boat, Shaw and Partners on their day, absolutely the top Aussie boat, but they've been a little bit flaky the last couple of weekends, and James Doran looking a little bit sore in the boat park today because he injured his back this morning. See how he goes. He will want to be careful. I can certainly see Shaw and Partners maybe bailing out after one lap here, Jimmy. It's the kind of thing he might do, just to save his back.
Yeah, he's dosed up on Nurofen and every other painkiller known to mankind at the moment. I heard he's back lifting the trailer. The jockey wheel gave out on him just at the wrong time.
Yeah, so if you see them bailing out, that's an additional reason for them. Still up with your leading group. You can see pretty clearly on screen there. Here's Tech 2, our leader. Not a lot in this, just the odd boat length here or there. Shaw and Partners pretty close, winning group, Royal Oak. And then a little gap back to Smeg, Vintec, and URN. That's about your top 7 for now. Honda Marine do seem to be making a bit of physical progress, as in each time I look to leeward, Bucko, the branding looks a little bit bigger.
Yeah, I think he'll go around the windward mark in 9th.
Nice prediction. From 20th or 21st off the start line. He was last after his turns.
I'll tell you something else, though. Tech 2's creeping away. Have a look now, Mark. He's just, chinka. He's sailing a little lower and faster than Shaw and Partners. And not mucking around, going back to the left again. Better tack than most of the guys. Who are we with here?
Yeah, they're not shy to tack, are they? But Royal Oak Hotel, pretty impressive from these guys as well. They are absolutely the match for these top boats. There's nothing between at the moment. Shaw and Partners, Royal Oak, winning group, and Tech 2. As you said, maybe a small advantage to Tech 2. But there you see Winning Group and Royal Oak, who just tack on top of them just to say hello, be a bit friendly, remind them that they are here to be right in this event. They're not here to make up the numbers, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's intriguing, isn't it? But Tech 2, Tech 2's going to get round here with plus 20 seconds, I'd say.
Yeah, they've played this nicely, haven't they? Tech 2 just got out of that Bradley's corner on the first cross, just with enough, and they just sneaking away, going the way they want to, not being tacked on, of course. Nice job from Tech 2 is what we've just come to expect from them over the last few weeks. Vintech also, another great job from them. Jimmy, we have talked about Vintech, haven't we, a couple of times? I keep saying they're a little bit surprising, but they keep doing it, we shouldn't be surprised.
No, well, like Kurt's done a great job in getting Pistol Pete in on the sheet and Matty Walk in the bow, both very accomplished skiff sailors, and both have been around the 18s for quite some time, and you know, I think we're going to be talking a lot about them this week, I really do.
Nice job, Vintech, and you can see Shaw and Partners just crossing them. It's all pretty close here. Here we are, nicely lined up. We're on ley line pretty much on the camera cat. We got wind a bit better than these guys do, but here's the ley line. Winning Group very close to us, and just ahead you can see Smeg, Royal Oak, Tech 2. Big advantage to Tech 2, who don't have to sail skinny to hold a lane. Smeg are having to go skinny. Winning Group are going skinny as well. Shaw and Partners slot in second position. Oh, not with a tack like that, though, they don't.
Looked like Harry got caught up or something through the tack. And
Jimmy, what was that? A bit of sort of pressure of boat handling, do you think?
Yeah, I just think, you know, there's so much to get caught up on running through the boat, slip over, you can step through between the inner wing bar and the boat. It's just you can see the little netting there, but it's not structural. They step on it, they just fall straight through the hull. So, you know, be a magnitude of things. I know Harry wasn't feeling the best this morning either, so bigger things to come to the Shaw and Partners, boys, that's for sure.
So Shaw and Partners have got a bit of a problem now because they might struggle to lay this. If they do, they've got no room to tack, so we'll see how that one develops. Bucko, pretty impressive. Smeg have got right into this. They weren't in it off Bradley's. They were in the sort of the little group behind, but they've come right into this group, got through Winning Group, and of course Honda Marine, as you said, ninth. I reckon they might be even better than that at this top mark.
Anyway, pretty accurate yachting from Tech 2.
There they go. We'll set the watches, see what the lead is, but impressive job from Jack McCartney and crew on Tech 2. They go round for Mark 1 in the practice race of the 2020 JJ, comfortably in first. Second round is Royal Oak.
And they're in the
comfortable on Tech 2. Oh, good save, boys.
By their standards, not a great hoist, but they get away with that one. Royal Oak go round in second. Nice job, Smeg. Great recovery up that beak. They're always sort of in it, but they did their best sailing at the end. When it counted, they go into third. Shaw and Partners managed to get into that lay. They managed to lay it just. They go around in fourth. Winning Group, always been in the leading bunch. They might be just a click disappointed not to be a little bit further forward than fourth, but all looking pretty solid. Early days for them. Vintech, great job by Vintech. What's this next boat going around, Bucko? Who could that possibly be?
Honda Maroon.
Better than ninth.
Amazing, isn't it?
They were 20th. There's nothing wrong with their boat speed because they're already ahead of URM. They're not slow. Well ahead of Yandu already, ahead of Kitchen Maker, etc., etc. So let's expect them to keep marching through the fleet. Early check-in on boats through the Honda Marine is there's not a lot wrong with that, but the start was a mess, and they've managed to get right into this already. So you see URM going around, and just the next boats around, Mersk, then it's going to be Yandu and Sean Langman on Noakes Red, and then Yvette Heritage on Noakes Blue, followed by Kitchen Maker, Bird and Bear, and Queensland, SeaTech, Ginge back for another crack at this, Ilve and Birkenhead, Point Marina. That pretty much covers the whole fleet. And here we are looking at series champion Honda Marine, choosing to take a bit of a low lane away from everyone else. But the fleet ahead, got to go around Shark Island this time around. Maybe this is the reaching version, but for now into Nielsen, find a spot to drive away, and we'll see how this all shakes out coming into Shark Island. But I guess, Jimmy, you could say usual suspects at the front, but slightly intriguing to see how Honda Marine work their way through the fleet.
Yeah, well, we didn't really get to watch Honda Marine do it, but obviously good magicians, that's for sure, to get through the fleet. And I think I noticed them working a little bit more to the right compared to the other guys, but yeah, we'll see if that works the second time up.
Might have been just for clear air, possibly.
Absolutely, just something as simple as that. easy way to make some numbers up.
So winning group in 5th position at the moment, sailing with a new combination for this season, but of course a combination that's sailed together on multiple occasions before. I'm pretty sure they've won a JJ with this combination, haven't they, Bucko? I know they've all won a lot of JJs, but only question was, in the year that Scott won it with Seve, was there somebody else on the bow? I can't remember. I think there was. It was Pete Harris, wasn't it?
It wasn't Sammy, that's right, it was Pete. We have to look up the book. Honda in different air down the middle of the creek with a deeper spinnaker than these guys. So they've gained another 20 seconds here, I reckon. We'll see. We've got the clock on, and Tech 2 having to pick the jibe angle, and quite tricky with the breeze. A fair bit of right hand on this shore here.
And Bucko, in case this winning group lineup becomes permanent for this series, or for at least a few of these races, where do they sit on your famous weight chart when you put Scott in for John Winning? What happens on that?
Essentially, they get a fraction heavier, but not much. It's only a few kilos difference.
Okay.
Yeah. So here's Honda just behind.
So Honda Marine are still on the port jibe coming into Nielsen Park and heading out on starboard. There's winning group, Royal Oak, Smeg, they're in 2nd and 3rd. And the Honda Marine are just off your shot at the moment, but they're going right into just off Nielsen. They'll have to be jibing out of there soon. There's Honda Marine. It's pretty light in there. I'm surprised they're getting that far in, but they're just pushing that corner as hard as they can. I'm just checking on the jibing technique. Predictably smooth. Nicely done, lovely jibe from them. And Merce Marine, you mentioned them, Jimmy, before a little bit, that you're expecting possibly to see good things from them. 3 good yachties. Well, they're right in amongst us, aren't they? There's nothing wrong with their speed either.
No, there's nothing wrong with them, and Merce Line, they're the sponsor that gives them a container and ships them out here. So it's great to get the Kiwis out here. And, these guys, nice young, big, burly blokes. I was having some lunch and they walked in. I was like, oh, okay, this is in the old days, 3 big sheet hands, excluding Bucko. He was the only greyhound sheet hand going around back in the day.
Well, the bowman does look size 1 large to me.
Yeah.
And they're just rolling into their jibe now, and just ahead of them, Honda Marine have jibed just inside winning group, so there's very little between Honda Marine and winning group. Honda Marine showing they've got plenty of wheels downwind as well. So that's a pretty close battle. Up front, things are staying the same. It's still Tech 2 are going to be going around the Shark Island mark in 1st. They've slightly stretched their lead. In 2nd is going to be Royal Oak. Not very close behind will be Smeg, followed by Shaw and Partners. That's the 1, 2, 3, 4. And it's winning group and Honda Marine in a tight battle for 5th and 6th, with Merce Marine just behind them, and then a bit of a gap back to the rest of the fleet. This front 6 separating a little bit on everyone else. We'll see what happens as we get round Shark. It's fresh down at Shark Island, and then all of a sudden it goes super light. Tech 2, our leaders, lifted and light. They'll be jibing fairly soon. But it's a place where place changing can happen. We always see a bit of a drama off Shark Island. So one of our favourite spots here, Jimmy, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like a lot can change down here, Mark. It's where you decide how far you go past the mark that you jibe. There's a that's the big thing, because you want to just scrape Point Piper. You don't want to sail up into the lee of Shark Island, so it's a tight one for them. And then you've got a few spectator boats, just not realising how quick these boats are creeping up on them. Not mentioning anything about the boats, shits.
So it's a little bit light just off this Shark Island mark. You can see Royal Oak and Smeg going all a bit light and funky, but Tech 2 have carried on. They haven't jibed on here. They've carried on. They've found a bit more breeze into Shark Island, into Rosebud. I'll have to jibe soon to get around Point Piper, of course. But in lead position right now is still Tech 2, and we're watching winning group approaching the Shark Island mark as well.
Just on Smeg there, they're 3rd around this mark.
So the rich have got richer here in this run. I'm not sure exactly the dynamics, but there's now quite a big gap between the top 3 and the chasing pack.
Yeah, the three have stretched, haven't they? It looked like the top 5 or 6, but actually the front 3 have just trickled away. And that's
Smeg rolling into a jibe.
Smeg put the jibe in, same time as Royal Oak. Tech 2, a little bit of a 20-second or so lead, probably.
Well,
and then behind these top 3, it's Shaw and Partners. And Winning Group have won the little battle with Honda Marine to get round the Shark Island mark. So it's the next Winning Group, followed by Honda Marine and Maersk. And then there is a proper gap before we get to Kitchen Maker and Noakes Red, Noakes Blue, Yandu, and the Bird and Bear.
So the fleet, the first 3 guys here, almost sort of in a line. And Tech 2 showed them the right track, I think, more or less. So soft up at Shark Island itself.
Yeah, they've all got a good line, haven't they, here? You wouldn't want to be jibing down here if you can avoid it. And I'll probably lay this in 1 with any luck.
No, they're going to be low. They're going to be low at the rounding mark, I think, Mark, by the time they get there.
Yeah, it could be right. Smeg keeping the pressure on the Royal Oak, that's for sure. I've been pretty impressed with the beat that Smeg sailed there, because they had a little bit of work to do upwind, and they had plenty of pace, went the right way, good boat handling, and yet again they're in it. They are peaking a little bit, Bucko, at the right time.
Yeah, their handling has gotten visibly better as they've accumulated time together on the water.
Yeah.
So the little things that perhaps weren't quite right when they first went around the track, they're now, you know, more upright, less wing dips, better drops, and so on. So the old story.
And the Royal Oak also showing plenty of boat handling skills at speed.
Let's take our hats off to Tech 2 though. They've got this absolutely on a spike here. One jibe, nice and hard to do, Mark, as you'd appreciate.
Yeah, they're putting all the separate bits of the jigsaw together. Proper start, got that pin end, tacked in the corner well, and then they sailed that wind with just a little boat speed advantage, kept it tactically straightforward. So it's only lap 1, it's a 3-lap race, plenty more is going to happen, but so far a pretty impressive performance from top Aussie boat Tech 2.
Yeah, very impressive, isn't it? I'll tell you, I was just thinking after we went past Smeg, I know who the other replacement is for Appliance Online now. It is Pete Mackey's going to be jumping in after tomorrow.
Yeah, so, I was going to say, there's a couple of blokes lurking around that know how to sail.
Yeah, no, and it just dawned on me when we went past the Smeg, so there we go. Big Pete Mackey coming back to the fold.
So Tech 2 at the bottom mark for the first time. Lovely approach angle, fairly straightforward drop for these guys. And that should be a pretty easy rounding for Jack. Round he goes. And we'll get a watch on that and see exactly where they are, but Tech 2 looking very tidy. Jack McCartney with Charlie Wyatt and Trent Barnabas. And next round, let's see, these drops I think are all going to be fairly straightforward for the front of the fleet. Everybody's approaching at a pretty good angle. We've got Royal Oak next in, followed by Smeg, nice and close. And then there is a bit of a gap for the next 2. The next 2 is Winning Group at Honda Marine. Winning Group have taken the high lane, and we can look back there and see Honda Marine in the low lane. So I think by the 2 they come together, there won't be a lot between those 2 boats. The second round, at the bottom up for the first time in the practice race, that's Royal Oak. Really nice job from them as well. Lap 1, they'll be pretty pleased with that performance. Not much wrong. And Smeg also a little bit raggedy getting on around that mark. Let's get that jib in, Pete. In it comes. And as you said, Bucko, there's a gap, isn't there? What's this? At least 30-second gap to the rest of the fleet.
Yeah, so 50 seconds, like sort of 40 seconds between the first 2. Just another 10 or so between Royal Oak and Smeg. And now Winning Group going to do a pressure jibe drop.
They've had a good downwind to them. Remember, they were fighting for 5th and 6th. They're actually going to go around 4th. They've got ahead of Shaw and Partners. They've kept Honda Marine behind them. So a really good downwind, particularly since Shark Island from Winning Group. Nice drop. No surprise that with Sam Newton. Big arms at the front of the bus. And a pretty nice rounding. That was pretty late, that drop, but they got away with that.
Well, you see that, Mark. Scotty Babbage getting the jib in just nicely as the boat rounded the mark. Everything pretty cool. So, and even better than the Honda. But the Honda in 5th.
Honda up to 5th, so a successful downwind for them as well. And Shaw and partners go around next. Not their best downwind, they've dropped a couple, but they'll get themselves sorted out, I'm sure. And Bucko, just calibrate for me. How do you think Honda Marine is doing versus Tech 2 in terms of distance and time? Is she coming into her at all, or is it just too far away to be relevant?
Well, you know, the lead 3 got 45 seconds on the rest on the run in the tricky bit in Rose Bay there. Let's just time this speed. Everybody having a red-hot go, I think. 1:45 from the leader, Tech 2, to Honda Marine. Yep.
Okay, that's a good guidepost. We'll measure that one.
But the Breeze playing with these guys a bit right now. Breeze gone east, gone back to the right. So one of the models had a little low pressure cell out in the, out almost due east of Sydney. And that's a little bit of what we're seeing now. This is not a regulation nor'easter now by any stretch.
It feels just a click softer as well. Is that what you're feeling?
Yeah, no, and you saw that the east rotation and softer at Shark Island at the jibe mark there.
Yeah. So back at this bottom mark, next in is going to be, we just saw John Winning on Yandu going round, and John Winning sailing with Nick Daly and Fang Warren. Next round is Kitchen Maker, quite taking a leisurely angle to get round this mark, giving it plenty of space. Round they go, and then it's Bird and Bear, and then that'll be Sea-Tech with Alex Veiling from New Zealand. We'll be just getting the inside rounding on Tom Clout on the Bird and Bear.
But I mean, right at the mark for the viewers, barely, just in a little spot around the mark, barely 10 knots, perhaps even, under 10. So, but still solid pressure. Once they march out into the middle of the harbour proper, it's still 12, 14, but it hasn't built any further.
Oh, we've got a bit of a swimmer here. That was Noakes Blue and Vet Heritage just getting that drop all a bit inside out. So that's a fairly unforced area. Not a lot of breeze down here. Not a real problem with the angle, but somehow or other they managed to get themselves a right model there.
No, dirty air off the Birkenhead, mate.
Yeah, dirty off the Birkenhead, but that's unforced error. I know Vet won't be too proud of that. They want to sort that out for the real racing. And then it's Ilve in the next round. And then URM must have had some kind of an issue downwind because they were in the top 10 for sure at the top mark, but at the moment they are pretty much back of the pack. And Vintech as well, actually, Buck. I've just seen Vintech coming downwind without a spinnaker, so I don't know whether they've got some kind of an issue.
Yeah,
I got a thumbs up off them as we went past them. I think they were pretty happy to have had their hit out. They've time to head back to the bar.
So just a cruise back home, you reckon, Jimmy?
Yeah.
No big drama for them. Good. Well, it's good to know. We don't want them to have too many technical problems at this point. So Sean Langman, now the only Noakes boat upright, and last week super competitive in that big rig conditions. We know he's good in a foam up, and we know how competitive he is. He wouldn't be a crazy pick for an outside look at the podium. What do you reckon, Jimmy?
Oh, overall, yeah, as Bucko's done the modelling for the week, and if it's right, he could be definitely in there with an outside shot at making the podium. If not, he won't be far off it.
Yeah, but remember they are very light, like 235. Like they did look terrific when it was downrange big sail, and Sean thinks that he's got the rig set up right for downrange. Today's the exact what he doesn't want. I mean, if it was a JJ heat today, I would have suspected, and you've seen him do it before, go second rig and hope that the breeze kicks up. And he has had a big success one day doing that. He led at the first mark in a heat of the JJs with second rig, and he just couldn't quite get the job done downwind. But the experience of leading at the first mark when the other guys are all inverted will no doubt be in his mind. And looking upwind now, Mark, back in the middle of the river, what do you see? What do you see?
Wind.
Wind, yeah.
More wind.
Solid.
It's gone up again. That little lull we had off Shark and at the bottom mark has decided to leave us, and we're back with what we had before. We're right back to what it was like off the start line. So there's Yandu trucking along upwind. John Winnie looking pretty sorted today, very comfortable. He's sitting in about 8th or 9th position at the moment. And we'll get back up to the leaders as we slowly work our way through the fleet. And Tech 2 still our leader, stretching, if anything, It's always hard to judge it at this point without a boat alongside them. It looks like they're stretching away. We'll see what happens as they all head towards the left of this beat. That's what we're expecting. It's a bit more traffic getting in the way, but still looks like Tech 2 in great shape with Royal Oak and Smeg in the fight. And of course, the winning group, remember, Bucko did that nice downwind. We didn't quite see what was the secret. It's probably how they got around Shark Island, I imagine. They're up to 4th at that bottom mark.
Yep, they jibe closer into Shark.
Just going to run an errand for Bucko, mate. We're going to have a look at the Honda on the way uphill.
There we are, just having a look at Honda. A bit of flapping going on in their typical style. Wow, inverted, heel into windward. And as we've noted, they're not heavy. They had struggled up range, and looking at them now, foot of the jib, sheeted out pretty wide. Oh, plenty of twist. Just what you'd expect from a lighter crew.
And just talk about, you talked to David about crew weights, didn't you, Bucko, in the boat park? What was he saying?
Yeah, he said 235, 240. Sorry, 245, 250, sorry. So just about 15 kilos below most of the fleet. Beautiful tack, though. Did you see that?
And that's enough to explain the inversion on the mainsail, isn't it? Just makes that much difference.
Well, and, you know, their setups have been developed for their weight, so it's not like, you know, there's no cards to play. There's plenty of cards to play, but it's interesting. But they definitely set their jib up straighter than everybody else in the foot.
So there's Honda Marine, which is hovering around 5th position at the moment. Up front it's still Tech 2, followed by Royal Oak and Smeg, and then winning group, and then a bit of a battle between Vintech and Honda Marine, and Shore & Partners in that fight as well. We'll see what happens back at the top mark. But Honda look a little bit relaxed. Look to me like they're just checking a few things, Bucko. They don't look to me like they're particularly bothered about their placing at the next mark.
No, they'd just be, you know, getting the muscles into shape and you know, waking up the brain cells.
Yeah, exactly. But going to have to switch on tomorrow with the conditions we've got coming our way. It is going to be fresh tomorrow. For sure, if you get the chance to watch our race live tomorrow, I strongly recommend you do. We will be out on the camera cat watching the whole thing live. Our transmission will start at 2 o'clock. The race itself starts at 2:45 local time here in Sydney. Forecast 20 to 25 knots. That's pretty much what you want for an exciting skiff race. There will be plenty of swimming, there will be capsizing, there will be some high speeds, and it's the first race to count for the JJ, just a little less than a day away. And these boys on Smeg, if it's fresh, Jimmy, they're going to be in this too.
Yeah, well, they're, drag Petey Harris out of retirement, mate. They're keen. They want to get it done. You know.
Another good, maybe not such outside, but another good bet for a podium. Again, particularly if it's fresh. The boat handling skills are strong on this boat, and they're quick in their fresh stuff, but they will probably keep it upright when others might not.
Yeah, they've been improving across the field now. They've settled with this crew combination, and they do a great job. Like we're talking more and more and more about Smeg in the back end of this season, which is great. And like it's when you want to peak. No point peaking in the first week and everyone else catching up and overtaking you. So these guys are doing it the right way.
Big Pete might have to pay attention to the little bubble of the spinnaker there. It's close to coming out of the bag, I would say.
Yeah, it's making a bid for freedom, isn't it, right now? It doesn't want to stay in the bag at all.
Calling his feet off, mate, is...
I think that's a particular rare form of sandbagging, when you let the spinnaker slightly out of the bag and don't bother to stuff it back in. So they're happy. I think we might see them retiring at the end of lap 2. I've just got a feeling. We'll see how they go. For now, Royal Oak is definitely staying in contact with our leader. Tech 2 is in the kind of position with that clear air where we might have expected her to just keep stepping away and away and away, but Royal Oak still in this fight. There's Tech 2 crossing her bow. That is, what, not even 30 seconds. That's more like a 20-second delta with Tech 2 still to make attack. We'll see where they end up, but pretty impressive from Royal Oak. Clearly, in these conditions, this setup, it's all looking pretty good.
Yeah, they've probably got a bit more riding moment than Tech 2 as well. So they're hanging in there.
Completely hanging in there, no doubt about that. They have stepped away from boats like Winning Group and from Smeg as well. Pretty polished performance, good all round, good upwind and good down. Came off the start line in reasonable shape, that's for sure. They were windward of all the group trying to win the pin, and that didn't do them any harm at all.
Yeah, no, they've got a good high mode, and you know they've got a pretty deep setup actually, Mark. You know, so I'm not sure they've got a bow down and fast mode, but they've certainly got a good high mode.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And relying on quite a lot of twist just to keep that mode going. So now having
Tech 2 on the ley line here, Jimmy O, or not?
Oh, be close, Bucko. They just need a little bit of left, and I think they'll be there.
A bit of ebb tide and a bit of left.
A little bit more than left, I think. Maybe one more.
Yeah, need more tide. No, bit short at the present. Okay. So
there they go.
Just a little short one right up to the ley line. And they got it perfectly last time, so no suggestion. And they have been accurate today, haven't they?
Yeah, they have. They've got a comfortable enough lead that they can afford this two short tacks, and they'll probably put a little bit of a clamp on the next boat behind them as well, so that'll all play out quite nicely. Yeah. Plenty of looking around going on for Jack. In terms of the way they're running the boat, Bucko, what does it look like? It looks like Jack is mostly deciding which way to go, and the rest of the other two guys are just sailing it.
Yeah, I think that's sort of how it looks. And, you know, Jack's been at it a long time, and well, the whole crew has really, but they're on autopilot. You know, they don't ever think about the actual steering. Hello, bit of a problem here with the jib shooting. Trent sorts it. And that's a nice easy low and a bit of gas on the Royal Oak, so achieved the two things they needed to achieve, I suspect.
Just behind them, actually, just to bring us up to date with the rest of the fleet. Smeg still trucking along nicely. Honda Marine and Winning Group getting into a nice little battle. Honda Marine have now actually just got ahead of Winning Group. They were definitely behind them before. Not quite sure what happened at the beginning of the beat, but that is fully reversed. Honda have just crossed them, put attack in, but very close between Honda and Winning Group in that battle for 4th and 5th. Smeg currently in 3rd. Royal Oak in 2nd, and of course Tech 2 on screen right now, our leader. And it's going to be very interesting to see what happens to the Honda Marine and Winning Group. We've got a little lineup, a little bit proper two-boat speed test going on.
Yeah, the run will be pretty interesting, Mark, because inevitably I think they'll have to both go the same way. But I rather suspect that Honda's quicker than Winning Group downhill.
It looked like when they were working up that Honda had a lot higher. I looked over my shoulder at one stage and Honda looked like they had a lot higher groove coming upwind. So, you know, it's something that if we can, we'll try and catch up to, we'll go back and see them next time up. And so hopefully they're somewhat still close to each other and we can see what the pairing's like.
So there's your leader, top-down view. About 20 seconds till the mark. Rounding up at the top mark for the second time in the practice race with a decent lead, 15-20 seconds lead to the next boat back, Royal Oak. We'll watch these top boats go round and get a sense of what are the gaps between them, and then we're going to chase them downwind, check out their downwind technique. Remember, this is the downwind leg, not by Shark Island, it's just straight back down to the bottom mark. And you can see the CBD in the background. That's how far they're going to go downwind. But for now, it's Tech 2, your leader all the way through this race, a bit like we saw last Sunday. They led the race from beginning to end. They're currently looking like they can do the same again. In first place, Tech 2, all smooth and comfortable on the good ship. And all looks pretty smooth and comfortable on Royal Oak as well. They'll go around in a very comfortable second. They have definitely extended on the 3rd place boat, which is Smeg. Nice little gap from them. They'll be very pleased. They should be very pleased with this performance. And they roll very confidently into a nice little jibe set. Next up is going to be Smeg. And then this intriguing battle between current champion 2019, 2018 JJ champion Honda Marine having their first shootout in 2020. Nice and close to winning group.
So, Mark, I don't know if you watched that carefully, but Tech 2, a set made in the land of perfection. Went up, didn't have to sheet on, was sheeted on perfectly, went all the three corners simultaneously, ping. Fantastic.
And you can see the difference. Royal Oak did the jibe set, which is always slow, and then they had to slow down for an upwind boat, which was Honda Marine. And the difference between the two boats is there's another 100 metres delta now between Tech 2 and Royal Oak at this point in time. It's early in the run. Smeg was just a bareway set as well. Next round, it's the Honda Marine and winning group, and Honda Marine take it nice and wide on the ley line, giving the winning group plenty of space to get inside them. Port starboard, of course. And in the end, winning group get just ahead of Honda Marine, so slight to reverse all of the last time their two boats came together on the upwind. So that is positions 4 and 5. And then a gap back to Vintech. We thought they might have been sailing back downwind, Jimmy. I think when we saw that, they're just doing a turn, or practicing doing a turn. So Vintech are still well and truly in this fight.
No, they wouldn't be in the fight. They would have just turned and come back uphill.
Oh, did they? You saw them?
They didn't have a spinnaker up or went past.
Got
Looked
it.
like Matty Walk was going to grab a beer out of the spinnaker bag at one point.
Okay, so they're just practicing.
Yep.
Pure practice for them. So after Vintech, who probably not are going to be a scorer, then it's going to be Maersk Line, and then Yandu, and then Kitchen Maker, Bird and Bear is the next group of boats.
Just following our title sponsor, the JJ title, brought to you by the winning group. So,
and we haven't seen Shaw and Partners either, have we? So I think Shaw and Partners might have decided to call it a day. Rest Doro's back. So the odd boats are going to disappear.
that's them there.
Well, yeah, we've just found them. So they're still racing. I'm not quite sure what's gone on with them. They were up with the leading group, now they're not. So again, maybe they're doing a bit of checking or testing or something like that.
That looks very much so like a swim.
Oh, yeah, maybe it is a swim. Well, that won't have helped. That won't help Doro's back at all, will it? Anyway, here is winning group. Nice downwind position.
Jimmy.
The hardest part about sailing these boats, Mark, isn't so much sailing them, it's lifting the things in and out of the water. 130 kg or thereabouts.
Yeah, it's a tough lift, isn't it? With a bad back, it's a terrible thing to do. It's hard enough to do if you're fit and healthy.
Yeah.
Winning group flying downwind, still bareway set. They're heading towards Nielsen. Honda Marine, remember, went around just behind them. They did a jibe set. They've taken the other side of the harbour. Having a little look at that side when they'll all come together. We'll see which way that plays out. Generally speaking, though, the jibe set is, of course, always slower. But that side of the harbour, frequently, Bucker, there's more breeze over there, isn't it? The right-hand side looking downwind. And tidally, probably not a big delta.
No, tide's not a big deal. But a bit different today. The breeze still to the right of the harbour axis a little bit. So if you saw what Tech 2 have done, they've gone to the header, structural header at Nielsen Park by not jibing. The header on the other side's there, but the strongest wind is at Nielsen Park and Bradley's Head. So they're the 2 points you've got to hit if you go down the eastern side. And these guys have got a couple of little compressions against the little headlands on the western shore. But Tech 2, only 2 jibes this run and a little one in at the bottom only. So might be okay. I've got a clock on, so we'll get the clock at the bottom.
Yeah, so Smeg and Royal Oak coming together here. Royal Oak had a decent lead on Smeg for the second, third, but of course she did the jibe set and had to slow one because of a bit of traffic. So that's what's caused these two boats to close right up. But we're looking at the second and third battle. It's a pretty nice, close, little tasty race this. If they keep racing a third lap, we'll be interested to see how that one plays out. So it's still advantage to Royal Oak in second position. Tech 2 launched downwind. She's a solid 30-40 seconds ahead of these two. Smeg holds the third position. And then it's winning group versus Honda Marine for 4-5. And I can just tell you they're off screen behind us, but at the moment winning group seem to be holding the advantage over Honda Marine. We'll see when they come completely close together. But yeah, winning group will cross ahead of Honda Marine. So this is end of lap 2 at this bottom mark. This is the windward leeward component of this race course. I think we might see a few boats decide to bail out at this point, but hopefully the fuel will continue. It's kind of a nice race to watch this, getting a sense of the performance of all the boats. Early days, I know, Jimmy, but who is impressing you? Who's doing what you thought? Who's surprising you?
Royal Oak, definitely surprising me. You know, like Aaron, he's showing some form, but he's stuck at this one. So it's been good. Just watching the Smeg here trying to get through some powerboat wash. Not the most easiest job to do.
Yeah, Smeg right in the powerboat wash. That's a 60-foot Riviera going at just above displacement speed, very kindly. So a little local tsunami effect. There's the Smeg and the Camera Cat all bouncing up and down in unison. And Royal Oak is going to have to encounter that as well. And at some point, Tech 2 is going to have to cross that wash as well.
Jimmy, we going now? Just looking at Tech 2, we're with Smeg. Looking at Tech 2, they're a bit further down the track on a hot ley line coming from the Bradley's head side. Hotter than hot and about to intersect the big powerboat.
Yeah, that's just off camera at the moment, just the left of the shot. You just pick it up now. We're scanning to the left. There is Tech 2, what Bucko was talking about. You can see in the distance of the shot now, Tech 2's got a powerboat. Luckily, the powerboat's seen them and is slowing down, allows Tech 2 to cross the bow and the tsunami wave pattern, which is a big advantage.
Well, that's what I've just been dealing with, Marcus, trying to get through the tsunami on the Camera Cat, mate.
Yeah, well, luckily, we don't have to cross it, do we? I think we can stay the windward side of it. But that ley line, Bucko, that's a little hotter than they wanted, isn't it? Or do you think that was intentional?
Oh, well, he went to the major bit of wind. It's hot. It's not a loss. He doesn't need another jibe. So he's got down there in 2 jibes. He is a little bit too hot, but he's gained on the guys that did more jibes.
A tiny bit of boat handling test will come their way. The Royal Oak, she sits in 2nd position, battling with Smeg. Well, actually, probably Smeg has rolled over now. I think Smeg got the better of that powerboat wash. So just up to windward, you can see there's Smeg. And there are, of course, jibes to come. That Smeg will jibe across towards Royal Oak with starboard rights. That'll all be happening in the next 30 seconds or so. We'll keep a close eye on that. Our leader is still Tech 2, who up in the distance, up on the top of your screen, you'll see, is leading by a solid 40 seconds, maybe more. Tricky boat handling manoeuvre coming up, a 180-degree turn, including a jibe and a drop.
Yeah, but Mark, he's set up here perfectly. He's just adjusting his distance off the mark for a jibe drop here. So that's pretty sweet sailing. Jimmy, you wouldn't mind that, would you, as the bowman?
No,
just a nice,
perfect distance off the mark for a drop. It's nice.
And only 2 jibes on the run, so that's fairly rare. He's going to lead here by 1:20, I think, Mark.
Yeah, it's a proper lead, isn't it? I was saying 40 seconds, I was miles out. It's a lot more than that. They've extended down here. Less jibes, found that hot ley line in, and they avoided the wash that boats 2 and 3 have both had to encounter. The end result of all that is super comfortable for Tech 2 at the bottom mark for the last time. Just 1 more lap to go, back up to the top mark, home via Shark Island to the finish. That'll probably take them about 20 minutes from now. Local timer here in Sydney is 10 to 4 on a Friday afternoon. Still not much traffic on the harbour, nice and easy sailing conditions. And in 2nd place in our practice race day is Smeg, and she's about to jibe. And then she's got a nice little battle, a little tussle still with Royal Oak. Royal Oak was in 2nd at the top mark, Smeg was 3rd. And I think it might still be the same sequence, but these 2 boats are going to be very close indeed.
And still, Mark, here down the bottom, breeze lifted off, so the breeze softer here at the mark. So that might be one other reason why they've gained, because they stayed in more pressure. The pressure coming from Bradley's is better. It just lifts off as it gets near the leeward shore here.
So here's Smeg and Royal Oak. Smeg in the end does cross. She's got starboard rights, but didn't need to use them. Across by a couple of boat lengths, so that's a position change. Good job by Smeg. But very close between these 2. It's all up for grabs in this last upwind. And then the last couple of reaches back to the finish. So Tech 2, did you get the watch running on this, Bucko? You did, of course. Why am I even questioning your efficiency?
Got the clock running, brother.
Let's keep, and it's running and running and running. That's a proper lead for Tech 2.
Yeah, it's going to be exactly 1:20.
1:20. So 1:20 for Tech 2. Smeg go around in 2nd place, and just a couple of boat lengths behind them is the good ship Royal Oak.
And a good fight for the next one. Winning Group and Honda engaging.
Yeah, look at that white spinnakers at the top of your picture. There's Winning Group rolling into the 1st jibe, followed by Honda Marine. That's a nice battle. It's about the same distance they went around the top mark. pretty close, virtually overlapped. They went completely opposite ways down the run. They've ended up pretty close together.
And now they're a bit overcooked. The Breeze pressing back in, so they're both a little bit far, but that's better than being not far enough. Wow. The old one-man drop. Sheedan still on the end of the wing. Forward hand, you've got it all to do, brother.
Well, they don't do much else, Bucko, the forward
They
end,
do,
so.
I always said that. They do nothing all day.
Just sit there.
Just lean.
Occasionally lean out. Exactly,
Lean.
I know what you mean. So
Lean.
that was winning group go around in fourth
Lean
position
back.
and fifth position. Honda Marine just a boat length or two behind. Possibly a chance for a little bit of a speed test here. Or Honda Marine can see if they can hold a lane. But pretty useful.
This is the high slow mode, boys and girls. So that these guys have gained a little on that run from the, lost a little on the run to the leaders. Delta now a little bit over 2 minutes between Honda and Tech 2. So pretty impressive, Mark. Nobody's gone home.
No one's gone home, and this top group, probably this is fairly representative of a likely consistent top 3, 4, 5. There'll be other boats as well, will join them, but this could be the regular group. And of this lot, Bucko, just give me your assessment of performance. Who looks like, if you had to rank them right now with what you've seen so far, what would your ranking be?
Well, I still have to reserve judgment on Honda, but Tech 2 have shown they deserve to be treated with a great deal of respect. And, winning group changing the lineup, they're making a pretty good fist of it. And they'll be, unfortunately, perhaps as they were last year, probably very good by the end of the week. But they will struggle for coordination, irregardless of, how skilled the fellas are. They're still just struggling a bit for the fine points.
Yeah, I don't think winning group will be finishing early today, will they? I think you're absolutely right. Winning group in pretty good shape, considering that this is not a crew sequence they imagine they'd be sailing with, and they just will get better and better and better for sure. But will it be too late? We'll have to see. In a very breezy first couple of days, that might just suit them. 3 super experienced boat handlers, plenty of strength on, fitness on board. You never know. That just might work nicely for them. They're probably looking at that forecast and thinking, well, if any forecast is going to work for them, it's probably that one.
Yeah, and you might be right. I mean, a bit of a deal breaker when when it's over 20. It's just a matter of mast upright and not too much risk. But it's interesting, isn't it? These other guys here, Smeg and Royal Oak, this might be a good day for them. Upper range big sail. Both boats with a ton of riding moment. Aaron Everett's about 6'5", weighs, he's not a big looking fella, but he's 6'5", Could play in the second row for the Wallabies.
Yeah, I know what you mean. And we're just seeing the rest of the boats flying downwind. There's Bird and Bear you saw, followed by URM, and there's Birkenhead Point Marina, all finding a nice fast ley line into that bottom mark. There's still, most of the fleet are still racing. It is a practice race day. Points count for nothing. But the form and the little things you can learn about the harbour, if you're Kiwi who's haven't sailed this very recently, then a huge advantage to be out here today, that's for sure.
Yeah, but
And still the Royal Oak impressing with their performance. They did slip back on Smeg on that run, but upwind, they've proven they are absolutely a match for the top boats.
So the Breeze a little different, back to the right. No stronger, but no less either. So still up range, big rig, 14s. Bit of flapping going on, but not too much.
It won't be long till we see attack from these guys. We'll keep an eye on them. Nice close look at attacking technique.
No pressure, blokes. What do you reckon?
The commentator's curse doesn't exist. It's just a myth.
Yeah, really?
Let's see. They're pretty tidy usually. Let's see how they go.
Ooh, yeah, not bad.
They've done better. They've done worse,
Yeah.
but solid. Solid without being flash, I would say. I'm going to give that 6 out of 10. Bucko, what's your score?
Oh, no, it was better than that. Come on, 7 and a bit at least.
You're getting soft. Used to be such a tough marker.
Yeah, I don't know.
Getting soft in his old age, isn't
Well, there's another one we can keep our eyes on. We're going to watch a winning group tack coming towards us right now, followed by a Honda Marine. I'm not sure if they'll do what we'd like them to do, which is to go one and then give us a gap and then the next one, but we'll try and cover these two tacks. So some of our top contenders. Some people, I've seen a few comments in the comments section, which you can make in YouTube or on Facebook about why do we talk about the tacking all the time. Well, in a skiff, like in all boats, you can lose so much if you get it wrong. Therefore, de facto, you gain if you get it right. And if you're going to make a bunch of tacks, you may as well do them well, like Winning Group did just there. That was a much better tack than Royal Oaks, for sure. And nice going in. Bars didn't touch the water. Sevi nailed the exit angle. And, of course, the crew were fast across the boat. That looked like a very accomplished tack indeed.
That was pretty slick.
That
and
was.
I tell you something that will be interesting after today. Sev has had the best look up close and personal with Honda. And Sev's pretty good at, figuring it out. We'll ask him after today and say, what does he think? We'll get we'll get a better opinion than is available to us on the aluminium catamaran, right?
Yeah, we'll need to give him some Vino Veritas because
yes,
it'll be the usual response to both the sailors will be, yeah, they look good, they're great, we respect them, but we're going to try and beat them or something like that. But we want to know a bit more than that, don't we? We want
we'll ask him a trick question.
Okay.
It's okay.
We'll see if we can do that. On the Marine, happy just to truck along in a straight line.
Have a look at the windward heel, boys and girls. Amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's quite a lot more. I've seen that leech fluttering on the jib several times going out wind here, Bucko. Is that something from a sail-making point of view they need to look at?
No, just a bit of leech line, nothing serious.
But they're not doing anything about it. I saw it on the last beat as well.
No, they just adjusted after the race, probably.
And that's Tech 2 in the distance there, Mark, of that picture which we're just looking at from Honda Marine. So, yeah, gives you an idea on the gap, which is a lot bigger than...
that is, you're absolutely right. The gap up to Tech 2 is significant. So just wondering if that flappy leech line, Bucko, whether they can actually see it, or is it in the blind spot just behind the the mainsail?
They could hear it, let alone they don't need to see it.
So why aren't they doing something about it? What's your guess?
Eh?
Why aren't they doing something about the flutter and the leech?
I wouldn't worry about it for a second. It's not a keel boat. You don't want to go down to leeward and get it out of the cleat and muck around. The sail does have a leash line in it, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I was just wondering if it does, because I would have thought by now they'd have done something about that, but maybe not. We'll see. Anyway, Honda Marine tacking, as you saw on screen there.
And it's only fluttering below the bottom stripe there, below the bottom batten. I wouldn't, and the sail looks like it flutters less on this tack than the other tack, so who knows, but it's a very minor issue.
Very fluttering.
God, they're in the windward. My goodness.
So a lovely tack by Honda Marine, and they're showing their usual windward heel form. They managed to do that in the big breeze, which is very challenging, and also in the light. But today, in the sort of medium conditions, almost the easiest conditions to set up at that windward heel, and they are showing that's exactly how they like to sail their skiff. Much like last year, very similar look we got used to. Seemed to work for them, unweights the boat, plenty of height, plenty of speed. And it looks like they haven't been away from this fleet much, Jimmy. They'll settle right back into this, haven't they?
I think they've been doing a fair bit of training over there. I don't think it's all being, as per se, they've been busy with 49ers and 49ers only. So, I think we're going to see a lot from Honda this week, and I don't doubt it.
Yeah. I mean, ostensibly, Mark, they race alternate Saturdays and practice the other Saturday, so...
Yeah. You could argue that's more effective than doing what the Aussie fleet does, which just races every single Sunday. Have a bit of time to train. Maybe it's not a bad thing. Just saying.
Oh, I don't think there's any substitute for race pressure,
Yeah.
Particularly about the ley line type issues,
Yeah, well, when you go training by yourself, you're always high and fast, aren't you?
Feels fantastic.
There's a gap between second being Smeg and first in the background, Tech 2.
Yeah, just in the very top of your picture. It's a long, long way away. You just about see Tech 2 there. That's that gap. And Smeg done a nice job on Royal Oak, actually. Just extended a little bit, just a few boat lengths, but definitely a little bit further ahead now than they were before. That's our second and third, and the Winning Group and Honda battle, where they've gone very different ways up this beat. Winning Group went pretty hard right, looking upwind. Honda just went halfway across, and Honda Marine had plenty of time just to go straight line speed testing here to see as fast, get their best setup, go as fast as they can, and we'll see how it all plays out when they come together. And interesting enough, Honda Marine have got their support boat up close and personal, and the SIs, today's not a scoring race, of course, the SIs in this event state clearly, and it was reminded the yachtsmen, the sailors at the briefing today, that support boats cannot be within 150 metres of the boat from the minute they leave the dock. So support boat can only really watch from a distance. You can't do anything, can't hand drinks, can't debrief, can't comment, can't take photographs, because you're 150 metres away.
It does seem ludicrous, that particular little bit of the SIs.
And do you think why?
150 metres, seriously.
Of all the metres they could have chosen, but it's 200 metres off the bow of a fast crossing ferry, so it's not as far away as that one. Anyway, that is in the SIs, that is the deal. And of course the sailors have been reminded, as they always are, about the distance they have to keep away from these ferries that you'll be used to seeing if you're watching skiff racing on the harbour. Ferries, without any question, will play a role in this year's JJ. They always do, and the way the sailors manage the ferry traffic, it always makes a difference, and they've been reminded what they've got to do. And if you're at the back or the side of a ferry, you can go to within, I think it's 30 metres, isn't it, Jimmy? You'll correct me if I get this wrong, but it's the front, it has to be 200.
Yeah.
So it's the cone shape. If you can avoid the bow, you can go really close, but if you're anywhere near the bow, the crossing zone of the bow, 200 metres, that's an eternity if you're waiting for that to happen.
Yeah, well, you'll hear the ferries occasionally in our broadcast, honk, 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 continuously. That's them saying, make up your mind, what are you doing? And they pretty much so, they've got a camera on board that starts recording, and then the RMS or the harbour master gets involved. So, yeah, we don't want to see anyone end up in that predicament.
So some pretty solid pressure turned up here for Tech 2. Again, compression against the headland here, up here at George's Head where we are. Bit of solid 16, 17. So true nor'east on this side of the harbour. And Tech 2 prodding into the rocks, getting up to the port tack ley line. Wow, amazingly localised bit of squirt though, Mark, isn't it?
Yeah, nice breeze here. Freshest part of breeze of the day, freshest place for sure. And this looks like on ley line with a bit of right to left tide. Might even be overlay up here.
Clancy of the overflow.
Yeah.
No, they're doing it easy. But
Yeah,
the breeze,
jib's already eased, isn't it?
Yeah.
They're going to cruise across here.
breeze a long way left and the current going upstream.
Did you see that powerboat in the background of that shot actually doing 6 knots or thereabouts, not creating a big wake?
Yep.
There's the first.
Get his name, get him to make a video for the other powerboat drivers.
And if it does get fresh to frightening tomorrow, we'd expect this crew to be in pretty good shape. I mean, no one can guarantee they're going to sail the boat perfectly in the big breeze in a skiff. There's an awful lot of power in these rigs, and we'll have to wait and see what it brings. But Jack's got a lot of experience. He's typically good in the fresh stuff, and the rest of his crew is exactly the same. Of course, he's got that powerhouse of a bowman with Mr. Barnabas at the front. There'll be nothing wrong with the way he gets the sails up and down and an uprighting moment. So you'd think they'd be competitive. We'll wait and see. I want to sort out that Australian flag that's peeling off the mainsail, though. That won't be helping the drag factor.
I wouldn't. No, yeah, I'd go down with Honda, mate. Yep. Because these guys have got this done, but barring a riding lever incident. Yeah.
So top mark for the last time in the JJ Giltinan practice race on a Friday afternoon here in Sydney, March the 13th. Last time top mark. It's your leader from the very beginning to the very end so far. There is Tech 2. We'll see if they cross the line or if they do the practice race superstition thing about ducking the line. Not sure where Jack sits on that. We're about to find out, though, in a few minutes' time. He's going to go downwind via Shark Island to the finish, and that'll be the end of the race for him. Next back after him is going to be Smeg, who have stretched out a little bit on Royal Oak. And Winning Group have also come right into Royal Oak as well, so they've obviously found the right setup in these conditions today, just developing their boat speed and their setup as the day's gone on. They've looked a little bit better each time they've gone upwind and down, the encouraging signs for this new crew makeup on Winning Group. And then after that, it's going to be Honda Marine, who, as you remember, at the beginning of this race had a super slow start. They were last off the start line, then they worked their way through the fleet up into where they are now, 4th, 5th, bit of a battle with Winning Group, and for a while they were munching through the fleet, a little bit less so just for the last half an hour. I don't know whether that is intentional or whether they haven't quite got the right setup, or they're getting found out with a slight lack of riding moment in these upwind, uprange, big rig conditions, but either way around, just falling off the back of Winning Group on this beat. What's your guess, Bucko? What's happening with them?
Historically, yeah, I mean, they're pretty light, and uprange they haven't, in big rig, they haven't ever been particularly good. But, you know, the Giltinan this late in the year, it suited them, you know, it's been plenty of light air. Usually.
Smegler's on screen in second.
Yeah, Smeg charging downwind, a nice hoist. They are in pursuit of Tech 2, so Smeg round second, Royal Oak round third, Winning Group pretty close behind the Royal Oak now. They'll have them breathing down their neck. And as Smeg charged downwind, the one you're watching behind them, I can tell you Winning Group's hoist was not that flash, so that's allowed Royal Oak just to stretch away. So Royal Oak in 3rd place, Winning Group in 4th place, and up at the top mark, Honda Marine are just about to go round in 5th place. Here they are, you're watching them now. That's number 5. And the rest of the fleet in front, you can see them on the bow. A very big gap back to the next boats. The next boats seem to look to us to be in the distance, but it's Yandu and Maersk and Kitchen Maker. So we'll keep our eyes on Honda Marine and the other boats in front as we go downwind round Shark Island to the finish.
Well, Mark, just putting the clock on all that lot. Tech 2 probably stretched just a fraction over Honda Marine here, as you'd expect. So Tech 2 and Winning Group basically the same distance apart as they were one lap ago. Honda just come back a little bit. So uprange, and it is, that beat was uprange, as you saw, particularly the second half of it. A little bit unusual, but Honda Marine just struggles a little bit when it gets like that.
And to be fair, we didn't see which path they took, whether they just got the wrong side of a shift or whatever, but if all things were even tactically, then they have clearly dropped back. So something's going on. Only the boys on board will really know what's going on there, but that's part of the intrigue this, Jimmy, is that makes practice races sort of a bit of fun. You don't quite know how seriously each boat is taking things.
I think they're competitive enough, Mark, that they'd be sort of going full tilt, and, you know, I don't think there'd be too much foxing going on. Like, you know, I think when we've seen Honda do the penalty turn or do the turn off the start line, whether that was for an infringement or just to give himself a gauge, we don't know. We didn't see what happened, but you know, these, you know, the gap, as Bucko said, sort of increased a little, but you know, different breezes and different so forths, and yeah, like, I think we're going to have definitely a great week of watching these guys against the likes of Tech 2, Smeg, Winning Group, and a few others. I think will surely raise their head come tomorrow. Finport comes to mind. So, yeah.
So, Mark, just looking at that chute, it looks just similar to the chute on the Winning Group. So, you know, the latest mould from Norths. And a little bit deeper, a little bit more tolerant entry on it than some of the sails in the Australian fleet. Easier to trim, easier to get it to be out a little further. And because they're light also, they do often, like we've seen here, and like we saw on the first run, they sail a little deeper than the other guys. Crew weight works all ways, sometimes.
Yeah, got some waves coming our way. That's the ferry you saw. Catamaran passing us in front of them. And as you're watching Winning Group and Royal Oak just jibing away from the Nielsen corner. And Smeg have already gone out and found themselves a ley line. Tech 2 still our leader. They got pretty up close and personal to Shark Island. A lot of flagging, spinnaker action. And now they're going through a bit of a lull, but they still remain our clear leader. They got round the corner safely. They're getting very close to the rounding mark, right up out in front of us. I can just see them in the distance. Very top of your picture, you'll be able to see them, a little red spinnaker. But Honda Marine here, holding in 5th position. And they too, we imagine, will have to jibe away because, as regular viewers will know, it all looks good on this corner until it suddenly isn't and you run out of breeze. And there's a point that they're going to get to very soon where, as tempting as it is to cut the corner and keep going, just doesn't ever seem to work.
Good luck with that. Here we go.
Yeah, they've been there, played that game before. It just doesn't work. So they follow the 2 boats in front of them. That's Winning Group and Royal Oak out to some kind of a ley line on Shark Island.
And Mark, another thing you'd observe there, the entire leading part of the fleet jibes in an identical fashion. They start into the jibe, they oversheet the spinnaker on the old side, wait until the flow starts to attach around the luff on the new jibe, and then swap it over onto the new sheet.
Yeah, and there is an optimum way of doing it, that's for sure.
And the speed of turn is so critical, but they seem to have got the hang of it. How about that?
Here we go. Speed of turn, nice and smooth, and exit angle. A little bit more hill than they'd want on the way out. It was all good to the last bit there, went a little bit very fractionally wobbly. This is the final bit.
Not a bad light air jibe though, and it was light air when they jibed. So
yeah, it was nice, very nice on the way in, not quite perfect on the way out, but we're setting the bar high with these guys because normally they are the standard to watch and standard everybody else is aspiring to get to. Our current champions on the Marine. And there's Shark Island off the front, top of your picture. That's the last landmass to get around, and then it's a bear away, then a jibe to the finish. And our leader still Tech 2 up off in the distance. She's clear in 1st. 2nd position is a little closer between Smeg, Winning Group, and Royal Oak. Not much between those. Royal Oak have done a pretty good job on them down here. Looks like they might have even got inside Winning Group here. Up in the top of your picture, you'll see those 3 white kites. That is the 2nd, 3rd, 4th battle. Not a lot between those 3.
wow, this is pretty cool here. And Honda, you know, and it's a fine needle to thread here. Honda probably just a fraction low, but the guys in front at one point were 40 degrees higher left, shall we say. Another good puff coming though down at the mark. Anyway, these guys just got to make a decision. Lull coming, so they're probably about to get the bow up. Smeg at the jibe mark, ragging to get around off in the distance.
That's not what they wanted, Honda Marine, is it? To look up and see boats to windward ragging their kites. But here's the lift. The Rose Bay lift is on them right now. There's always a bit of a geographical lift off the island.
Plenty on going on to that mark, isn't there?
What do you reckon, Jimmy? They're going to make it?
They'll make it, but they've just got a little lull just above them. They've got to get up into that and wait for that puff that comes out of Rose Bay, as you were just talking about.
Yeah, the lead pack got torched. Anyway, here we go.
It's all going on now. Plenty of action happening with this spinnaker. It's on, it's off, it's on, it's off. But they've got to get the bow up another 10 degrees yet. And it would be a very bad time to hit a rock with your centerboard, wouldn't it? When you're the champion about to go into an event, but they're well clear of the stuff they could hit that could harm them. The lift comes back just when you want it. And have you ever seen a closer shot of a skiff than that? You won't have done, because that's John O'Witty flying our drone, and they're about a metre or 2 away from the boat, as you can see. That it really is as close as that camera angle looks.
Well, have a little flog and
David's just going to flog it around this corner. Nice boat handling skills. And there's the big bear away.
Oh,
they can just get into this, and off they'll go downwind.
So I mean, hard work there into a velocity header. Breeze softened, boat still going fast.
That's hard to get off the rail, but they did that. Good practice. They would have done that manoeuvre for a while since the last time on Sydney Harbour, so good to get back into it. So there's Honda Marine in 5th position, sorry. Right off in the distance, I can just let you know the story. No big surprise, Tech 2 are a long way gone. They're about to cross the finish line. Assuming they decide to go the right side of the line, they will be our winner, keeping that 1.5 to 2 minute delta. And then you can see them in the distance, the middle of the picture. You just pick up that little red dot. That is the red spinnaker of Tech 2 in 1st place. Smeg still holding a solid second, and a nice battle between Winning Group and Royal Oak for third and fourth. I think Winning Group might have done it again, and they keep driving early, and it keeps working for them.
I sort of fancy Royal Oak to some degree, Mark, but let's see.
Yeah, all about whether there's drives involved or not. We'll see, but Winning Group look like they've given themselves a chance of squeezing into third here. So Winning Group in front of us, there's Smeg up to windward, and Royal Oak, you can't quite see it, just to leeward and very slightly back of Winning Group. So Winning Group can lay in one, they'll be in great shape. If they can't, the advantage will go to Royal Oak.
No, the finish line's down there, mate. Even Royal Oak might have to jibe.
Yeah, well, that'll sort that out then. There's the two boats in line now. Quite a big windward gauge, actually, that Winning Group have got to sort out, so bigger delta than it looked like from when we were behind them. Tech 2 have crossed something. I'm not sure if they actually crossed the correct side of the line there. I think they might have done. But whether they did or they didn't, they are clearly the winner of today's practice race. Solid job by Jack. He'll be pretty happy with that. That's all he could do. I was asking him before the race whether today was a particularly kind of phony war in the way that practice races can be, because the conditions today will be very different to what he's going to find tomorrow. And he said, well, yes and no. Thing is, it's probably a very good practice today for what Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday are looking like, and he's exactly right. Good way of looking at it. Even if it's not the same conditions tomorrow, well, it will be these conditions at some point during the week. So Smeg managing to cross Winning Group there, and they're going to just about keep their second as long as they can get Royal Oak don't get to them. That's closing up this battle, actually. Look at the left of your picture, you'll see Royal Oak on starboard. Smeg are crossing them on port, but not by that much. Winning Group go over to join the party. Royal Oak will be clear across them on starboard. And that's probably the way this race is going to end, with Smeg in 2, Royal Oak in 3 if they can execute the jibe, Winning Group in 4.
Yeah, I mean, Royal Oak, all the advantage there. They can stay to windward and ahead. Easy work, really. Not much Winning Group could do about that, having done what they've done previously.
So in second place, it's Smeg, who've been there or thereabouts all day, haven't they? I'm not sure they've come into Tech 2, but they overtook Royal Oak and they stretched away from Winning Group. So pretty impressive job from Smeg. We haven't talked about them that much today, but great job by Smeg. I know Mick Elaine will be happy with that performance. In third place, Royal Oak, impressive all day, good all-round performance for them as well. Winning Group, as you said, Bucko, getting just a bit better with every lap. We should expect them to be right in there come race day tomorrow.
Yeah, no, dead right, mate. That is dead right. And, I mean, if we observe anything out of that, you could say, in some degree, we'd be very confident that the handling of the Tech 2 is top of the fleet.
Yep. Somewhere near the top of the class. Another boat which will be pretty sure top of the class as well. Honda Marine there will go across in 5th. Pretty good result. Bear in mind how they started the race, and decent hit out for them as well. I think they will have ticked all the boxes they wanted to tick today, and no shortage of pace on Honda Marine, no shortage of boat handling, and of course the real things we'll see tomorrow. Under the extra pressure of a real race, we'll take a little look at that performance with great interest tomorrow. But our reigning champion, Honda Marine, across the line in 5th place, and then there's a huge gap. I'm just looking back, and we're trying to look back. We're going to look back with the second with the drone shot. Well, you can see up to the top of your picture. You can't see much. Well, that's because the boats are that far away. I'm pretty sure it will be Maersk Line and Yandu and Kitchen Maker, but it's a very big gap. At least 2 to 3 minutes till we see anyone else. So, Bucko, we're getting towards the end of our coverage of this race. What's your thoughts? What have you seen today? Anything that surprised you?
No, I think it was pretty much in line. I think if you'd seen Honda Marine start at full noise and you know, not have a little whatever they had, penalty turn on the beat, they would have had a drag down knockout fight with Tech 2. You know, I think they're both boats have sailed very, very well. And Tech 2 might have well come out in front today just because a bit more riding moment. That will be as much as I could say.
I think I agree with that totally. Jimmy, anything surprised you or anything that confirmed your thoughts? What's your main takeout from today?
The only thing it confirms is that Jack's told me I've got to wear this hat as long as he's winning, so confirms that I'll be packing this hat tomorrow, which is a Tech 2 hat that Jack kindly gave me off his head. I've got, it is a Vycobi hat, which we're proudly covered by, but...
Made by Vycobi, branded by Tech 2. You've covered all the bases, Jimmy.
There you
nice
go,
work.
mate. But no, look, I don't think nothing jumped out surprisingly. The guys that we thought would be there are there. Honda a little bit playing. We don't know. We will find out for sure tomorrow. There's no two ways about it. Like, they're not going to play around when the big time starts. So, but like the rest of the fleet, sure, and partners. I'm not sure what happened there. Maybe Doz's back played up too much for him. They've been hot and cold. Smegs rise to the top again. The only other one that I thought we'd probably see a little bit more of may have been Noakes, Sean Langman. But,
and C-Tech's invisible. I don't think they were slow up the first beat at all, but haven't seen them all day. So they've either gone home or been on the riding lever. So
I think they have gone home now. But I think the first beat, you're right, we didn't see that much of them. That's Merskline just crossing the finish line now.
And I think we'd expect C-Tech to be in the top 6. So the peloton could get densed up a bit if Shaw and Partners rejoins and C-Tech.
Well, and I think we'll see C-Tech up front, particularly if it's fresh. And that, of course, is the big variable for tomorrow. We're out here on Sydney Harbour today in a beautiful 12 to 14 knots with lulls and with puffs. But basically, it's great conditions, but it's relatively easy for these skid sailors. Tomorrow, 20 to 25 knots, it is not going to be easy. That's the big variable. Who can handle the boat handling? Who keeps it upright? Who can handle the pressure of all that? Just being in the boat part when the wind is whistling through the rigging, making that scary noise is enough to give people the heebie-jeebies. That changes everybody's attitude. That's when you see who's really on top of the sport and who is slightly faking it. Tomorrow we're going to get good indication of that. Can't wait to see it, hoping the race is going to happen. And Jimmy, we're going to be out at our usual time, aren't we? Well, usual for the JJ, 2 o'clock broadcast, 2:45 start. Wherever you are in the world, hopefully you'll be able to join us tomorrow live, and if you can't join us live, of course, watch the recorded version. But a lot of sporting events getting cancelled, very sadly, around the world at the moment. But for now, the JJ is 100% on and happening, and we will bring you every single piece of the action. Thanks for joining us today. Thanks to our crew on board, and we'll see you guys tomorrow for race 1 of the 2020 JJ.